Welcome everyone to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tara.
Greetings, citizens, or those, I guess, who have served.
What you should have said is, greetings, citizens. Would you like to know more?
Well, if they're a citizen, that means they've served, right? Only those people get to be citizens.
Oh, true, yes. And in the context of the movie we're watching, yes. So this is a sci-fi movie podcast. We get together, we've watched the movie, we talk about it. And this episode, we are looking at Starship Troopers, which was a Patreon vote winner for last month, I think. Yeah, whatever. There's the recent winner. And this was up against... Was this what theme was this?
90s?
Yeah, this may have been a 90s vote. I can't remember exactly, but regardless, Starship Troopers came out on top. This is Paul Verhoeven's film, a satirical 1997 war film, I guess if you want to call it that, about a version of the future where the human race are at war with a bug-like race from the Klendathu system. Am I getting these words right? There's a lot of sci-fi jargon in this. And we follow our young character of Johnny Rico, as well as some of the other side characters he's around, such as the Denise Richards one. I don't remember her name.
Carmen.
There you go. Oh yeah, I remember it sounding like a stripper. Yeah. And then Neil Patrick Harris is there, and Dina Meyer's there, who I really know from other things, but there's a lot of faces in this. Hank from Breaking Bad's in here, Clancy Brown's in here, there's a Busey with, like, you know, all 55,000 of his teeth. There's all sorts. The dude who's in
Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside, of course, but the dude who's in both Total Recall and Twins, he's in this as well. In a small role at one point. So it's a movie full of faces. Hell, even the evil ant from Supergirl is the captain of one of the spaceships.
Yeah, I know her from not Supergirl, but from Third Rock from the Sun. She's Tommy's singing instructor that he has a crush on.
Ah, yeah. I mean, I probably know from that too. But that was just when I looked at her, because I was like, I recognized her face and it's annoying me. Supergirl was the first one that like jumped out, and I was like, okay, that's what it is. It's Supergirl. But yeah, I probably know from that too. So there you go. So yeah, the all-star cast. Not necessarily all A-listers. You know, I wouldn't necessarily describe Denise Richards as someone who...
Did you even mention Casper Van Dien?
Oh, the main dude? He's ever been in anything else?
Starship Troopers 2.
Is he actually in Starship Troopers 2?
I think so. Or maybe 3. I know he comes back for one of the sequels.
I don't know. You said that as if I should be respecting him, and I'm like, I literally know him from nothing but this. He's like a one and done, as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Odd. Unless this movie ruined his career.
It probably did, because it was a bit of a flop, money wise at the time. And we'll get into all that. So, I mean, one of the things we should probably make somewhat clear is that I did see this, but I saw this a long time ago, probably in my teens, maybe even earlier than that even. No, I was like 11, because I remember being disappointed that there was a whole naked shower scene where there's a lot of people with their tops off, but Denise Richards yeah, she was not in that scene, and to 11-year-old me that was very disappointing. I want to make that very clear. The appeal of Denise Richards has very much waned since my preteen years, but at the time she was the most magical being on earth, and it was very disappointing that her boobs were not on display in that movie. But aside from that, I was not that in love with it at the time. Admittedly, it's maybe a film that one appreciates a bit more later in life, which is why it'll be interesting to see how it sort of worked for me now as an adult. So Tara, on the other hand, you've seen this a number of times.
Yes.
And have been very outspoken to me specifically about rewatching it with fresh eyes. So
well, we just talked about it because it was on it was on my list of the top 50 sci-fi movies of all time.
Oh yeah, but that's hardly the first time you've mentioned it to me to go back and watch it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people need to.
Yep. Well,
it was. I mean, I've thrown my father under the bus before, but I think he represents a lot of people who watched the movie thinking that this was going to be a serious film without getting the satire. And when you watch it knowing the satire, it's a completely different experience.
So we're going to get into it then and find out how we feel. So, I mean, I always ask you first anyway, even though in this case I think my answer's probably the more interesting one, given that...
How dare you?
No, just in the sense that mine might have changed since I last saw it, because it's been such a long time. That's all I mean. But regardless, Tara, how did you feel upon this viewing of Starship Troopers?
I still love it. I still think it's great. It's got that Verhoeven style, and it's got his wit, his political views are very much on display. I think the special effects, although it came out at a rough time for special effects, actually hold up pretty well for the bugs. I think the movie is a fun action movie, and it's also a very comedic film. I think it's really good.
Interesting. There's going to be a few things in there I disagree with. The most obvious one that I don't think is a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but I do not think the effects hold up. Like, I really don't.
I think the bugs look great.
I think the CGI for the bugs looks pretty bad. Although the CGI for the ships looks even worse. Like, they have this cartoony look to them all the time. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I still think it's okay. Like, it matches the cartoony interior of the ships too.
Okay.
It's got that Total Recall looking feel to it, and I think the bugs look good. They don't look like rubber. You know, they look like solid exoskeletons. I think the big bugs look great. I don't know. I think they hold up pretty well, especially considering it came out in '97.
No, as soon as I saw some effects in this, I went, "Oh, this is '97 CG." That was like my reaction when I saw it.
Lost in Space is '97 CG. This is not.
Lost in Space, I'm pretty sure it was '99, but
well, it had '97 effects.
that was the right joke to make there. That's what I'd have said. If you said if the roles had been flipped, I'd have said, and that's why it's bad that it had '97 CG. So I guess what I'm saying is, Tara, I'm proud. I'm proud that you made that joke.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Follow my teachings, young one. You will learn many things.
Oh yeah, you're definitely one of my comedy influences.
As I should be. How dare you?
Picking up on my satire yet?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Anyway,
yes,
I think the effects look pretty good.
I don't think they hold up that well. They're not the worst from the era, don't get me wrong, by no means. But it's so effects heavy, it's so effects reliant, because there's so many like exteriors of ships, there's so many big fights with the big bugs, and whenever there's a practical bug effect, it looks good because they've got like a practical, claw or
Lots
leg
of
or something. Or there's goose spraying about. Yeah, that stuff's fine. But I think I'm going to disappoint you here, because I don't have this revelation with this movie that I think you were hoping I was going to have. It's like, I appreciate the satire, like I do. Like I think the satire's there, and I get what it's saying. And some things were making me chuckle here or there. I enjoy seeing certain actors pop up, and some of the points that it makes are definitely worth making. But I'm going to compare it to Verhoeven's perfect film. And I know that's maybe a bit unfair, but I think I have to get my point across here, is when I compare this to RoboCop. And there's a lot of reasons to compare it to RoboCop, because even the sort of the whole thing's a propaganda piece, but the little propaganda ads to put in here at the start and in between, there's a couple of sections where that's the parts that always end with, "Would you like to know more?" It's almost like web adverts for, join up today recruitment, or like a little news bulletin saying, the bugs, they've got plans, they're going to kill us, so we're going to kill them first because we're better, all that stuff, right? That's a lot like in RoboCop, all the news segments in RoboCop and the ads. It's very, you can tell the same director took the sort of same idea and said, "Oh, I'm going to do this, but with like the propaganda stuff and like 1997 internet browsing, because like a mouse pointer moving around and clicking these big grey buttons." But I think what this is missing compared to RoboCop is that RoboCop also has satire, has tons of satire. It's a very satirical film. It's very political. It's got a lot of things to say. But in RoboCop, I still care about the human at the center of it, and the story still works even without the satire. I think Starship Troopers, when you take the satire away, this movie has nothing left to offer. I think it's all the satire. It's all, I don't want to say it's one note, because that's a bit unfair, because it's definitely got a lot more thought put into it than that. but it very much is much that once you take away that satirical layer, once you take away the point of it, like, I don't think the story, I don't care about Rico, I don't care about any of the characters or what they're doing, I don't care about them winning, I don't care about fighting the bugs, I don't care about any of it, because if anything, the bugs are the sympathetic characters, because that's kind of the point of the movie, is that they're the sympathy.
Do you think that's why you don't like Rico? Is because you know the satire going in?
He's just bland from the start. He never becomes more than just like a sort of, like, he's kind of meant to be a boring Aryan race dude. That's kind of the point of him. But, and while I understand the point that that's making by having him be that, he's still not interesting to watch. Like, I'm not captivated by anything he's doing. He's just kind of a blank slate.
I do wish, I do have a little bit of a problem with Rico also. And I don't know if it's Casper Van Dien or that they just didn't do enough with the character, because this is a propaganda film for fascism from the perspective of the fascists. So Rico always believes in the system that he's in, but I sort of wanted him to at least consider, so that we can watch somebody get seduced by the fascism rather than somebody who's already on board.
So it's more of an arc than just a straight.
So that we feel bad for his journey, even though he's technically the hero. We feel bad that he was seduced by it, but or at least as an audience member, we get seduced by it.
Because then it would be a tragedy. Because then you'd be watching it in the lens of a tragedy, and you know that's a genre of storytelling. Is you have a character who goes down a path, and at the end you realize that they've gotten to the worst possible place, and that's why you care. You care because you're sad that they made the worst possible choice, and they're not a good person anymore. Whereas here, he's just kind of a blank bit of paper, and then by the end he's still a blank bit of paper who just is just yelling things more.
I mean, I don't think he's totally blank. I think he still has a lot going on. I mean, I do enjoy still watching everything from the perspective of this joke. Like, I like the idea that his parents are liberal, and they're saying that right-wing school of yours is giving you ideas, like your teachers, it's the education, it's the elitists. They're the ones that are putting these right-wing ideas in your head that are making you that way. I like how everything is sort of flipped that way. But I don't love Johnny Rico also just for what I said before. I would like him to have more of an arc that I cared about, other than like this love triangle that he's in.
Oh yeah, I never cared about the love triangle. That was never even a thing to me. And
well, I mean, you're going in and saying Team Denise Richards.
I mean, no, 11-year-old me goes in saying Team Denise Richards. I think as an adult, I actually that Dina Meyer's a better actress and has been in a lot more interesting things, for sure.
She's a fine-looking woman.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not judging anything based on attractiveness now, for the record. But no, I don't care about the character. I don't care about anything that's going on. And I think that, like, I get the satire's there, and it's saying a lot with what the satire is. But I feel like a better movie, and something that Verhoeven's done with RoboCop and other directors have done with maybe other concepts, where it isn't just a straight up just action adventure where it's a hero's journey and you're rooting for the hero and he wins at the end, right? That's not what this movie is. And other movies have also done alternative takes on these things, but you'll find they still some sort of make some, you know, I don't know if this movie makes a big point by the end. Like, I feel like the point that it's making in the first 10 minutes is still the point that it's making in the final 10 minutes.
I think so. Like, I think the last big scene that happens, there's a line that is said by Carl, and it is a little bit of a gut punch. Like, that's not really what we should be cheering for, kind of a moment. And I see it when I watch it. Like, I don't know, but I have seen it many times. Yeah.
I fail to get invested in the characters, so I come out of it respecting what it's doing, but never really feeling all that engaged or wanting to. I don't even want to say why you root, because you don't have to root for someone. Like, I watch many a thing with an anti-hero or a villain or something where it's a tragedy or whatever, and it's more of a like a character going down the rabbit hole and you're wishing they didn't. But at least when I wish they didn't, I'm caring, I'm invested, I'm caught up in what they're doing, and I don't think I feel that way about this movie. So I probably like it more than I did when I saw it originally, but it's not like, I ain't calling it great. Like I ain't even coming close to great. It's I think it's a valiant effort at what it's doing, but I think Verhoeven's made way better movies.
This is his favorite, apparently.
He's entitled to that opinion, but I disagree. I respectfully disagree, Mr. Verhoeven.
I think it is great. I really do like it. There's a lot of like just little throwaway lines that really paint the picture of the world that they're in, the future that they're in. I think even like our characters, our main characters are all white and they all come from Buenos Aires, where they all have Spanish names, kind of paints the picture of a future of like colonialism where the Aryan race has taken over most places.
Yeah, one of the things that we have to talk about is that a lot of the costumes, especially the sort of higher command, are very much based on like the SS and stuff like that, or even just Nazi officers. There's a lot of visual fascism that's there, and it's intentional, because the whole point of the idea of the satire is that, well, this is a world where fascism kind of won, and this is like what it looks like, and this is why the characters don't acknowledge it. It just is the way it is. But the way, because the way the media talks about the bugs, the whole idea is dehumanizing them. It's making them like, oh, they're just monsters that we should go and kill, and this and that, and they can't be smart. We're better. We must just shoot first because we're better, and we're the better than them. It's us versus them, and we're the better side, so we're going to win. And that's all it's promoting. Like all their media that we see throughout the film is all promoting that central idea. So
yeah, in the beginning when it's talking about what is citizenship, what it means to be a citizen, it gives you a little bit of a history of Earth having some time ago, generations ago, basically military took over everything. Like all the governments were run by military. If you had military service, then you were considered somebody who is a leader, who can teach, and you basically, everything was run by the military, so the whole world became militaristic. I think that's a cool, interesting, like, history of Earth for this sci-fi future. I like the whole idea is that if you wanted to be, you have to be a citizen. In order to be a citizen, you have to serve in the military. And if you are honorably discharged, then you can get citizenship. So then you have the right to vote. Apparently you have the right to have babies. There's like a little line about that in the shower scene.
Well, actually, the line was just, it's easier to get a license to have babies. It wasn't just a guarantee, but yeah, like that line was there.
Right. Which is like, I mean, she's so excited about it. Like, I'm here so I can have babies. I want to have a family. But it's like, well, that's pretty messed up, actually, that you have to serve in the military in order to be able to have kids. That's or at least make it easier for you to have kids. So only the rich could afford it, or...
I wonder if, I mean, I definitely wasn't thinking this at the time when I was 11, right? Or 10, or whatever age I was when I saw this.
Well, certainly not during the shower scene. I don't know what you're about to say, but I'm sure you're only thinking about one thing.
Yes, during the shower scene at that age, yes, I was thinking about, well, two things, technically. But, no, like, I'm pretty sure when I was 11, I'm sure I wasn't thinking about it at the time, but I do wonder if part of what turned me off about it so much and why it felt so weird is, even though I didn't even know what my ideas of, like, what I considered to be like my political allegiance, or what I'd seen as like right or wrong, or what my beliefs were, like, I never like said them out loud, never thought about them even, but I wonder if it's just like, because I took it straight and less as a satire, the fact that it was so fascist was just off-putting to me, even though I couldn't have necessarily contextualized what that meant or why that was. And I wonder if that's why I took a dislike to it at the time. Now I can appreciate the satire. I still think it's just okay though overall. But you know.
Yeah. There's another line that's sort of throwaway in like the middle of the movie where a reporter is talking about the bugs, and the whole reason why the bugs are attacking us is just because we were invading them like before. And so this is really just a retaliation thing, and they're like, we're just going to kill all the bugs.
Yeah, I was getting some, America looking for oil kind of like parallels here. Yeah.
It's just this little moment where you go, it takes you back into the, like, if you were really into the film and starting to root for these people, it takes you back out into it. Like, oh yeah, this is satire. These are not the good guys.
Yeah, no, the humans are the bad guys in this. There's no doubt about it. It's and hell, even if the start, even the propaganda thing that starts off the whole movie, which is just that I'm doing my part, my part, and then the kid says I'm doing mine, and they all sort of chuckle. Even the kid's doing his part.
Yeah.
Right from that moment, I'm like, I don't like these human beings. Like, I hate this human race.
It's like all these troopers are like handing guns to kids, like rifles to kids to like play around with. Like, pretend you're shooting a bug.
Yeah. That's just going to sound so bizarre, but I almost feel like you should have went further with some of this. Like, if you're going to go cartoony violent, you're going to go like, yeah, like, see. I mean, we're not spoilers yet. We're still spoiler-free territory, but you know, there's a section towards later in the film where they have to like bring in sort of reinforcements, and they bring sort of like cadets who are basically just out of basic training,
and they look really young.
And I'm like, you know what? If you're going to do it, actually get like 14-year-olds, like put some kids in those uniforms and really make us go, oh my god, they've got killed kids. They're going to have kids. I mean,
fighting. I was thinking they were pretty young, because I mean, they've only been like, Rico's only been there for like a year.
Hold on. They look young in comparison because our main characters are some of the oldest looking teenagers I have ever seen in my goddamn life. Like, they're in a high school class at the start of this movie, and I swear Rico's like 29. Like, well, he's pushing 30.
Neil Patrick Harris looks pretty young still.
Right? How many Denise Richards are like, because there's later on, because Michael Ironside, right, who's their teacher in this, who then later in the film shows up as like a like harsh lieutenant, right? Later on in the film, he's basically like encouraging two of them to have sex, and I'm like, you realize like a year ago you were their teacher and they were just like, you know, teenagers, and like, does this still strike you as feeling a bit odd? Like, yeah, give her one for me, son. Go on, soldier. Like,
it's paradise in the future. So
yeah, can we talk about the fact that Michael Ironside in Total Recall lost both of his arms, and in this film he's missing an arm? I just think that is a little on the nose, like wink wink, bit of humor.
Maybe I think
from Verhoeven.
It is from the book, because he plays their instructor, and their instructor is missing an arm.
Well, yeah, but he cast them in that role, so.
Okay.
He said, I want Michael Ironside for this.
He does lose a couple other limbs in this movie too.
Aye, let's just slow down. Let's get too spoilery.
I was thinking that was more of a nod.
Oh, true. Okay. I don't know. I mean, Verhoeven, I don't know if he had Michael Ironside any more movies, but I almost like that it should have been a running joke that he keeps bringing him back just to lose more limbs. Like, every movie puts him in. Verhoeven was just born to play like hard ass like generals and lieutenants, wasn't he?
Oh, you mean Ironside? Yeah.
Ironside. What did I say?
Verhoeven.
Yes, Ironside. Michael Ironside. He's that dude. Yes, I don't even. So yes. I
mean, I think I think it's important to know like Verhoeven was coming from, like, he lived in the Netherlands when it was occupied by Germany in World War II, and so like escaped it, I believe. And he's actually made quite a few war films. I've watched one called Black Book that was pretty good.
I never saw it, but I remember it being nominated for Oscars when it came out.
Yeah, and that was about like Nazi occupying the Netherlands and the like Jewish resistance and what some people did in order to survive, and it was a very good film. Still had that Verhoeven sort of perviness in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that looked like more of a straight historical, drama. So the idea that
it really is, but you know who the director is, like.
I can't imagine he watched I don't know, Life is Beautiful, for example, right? And went, do you know what this needs? More tits. This needs more tits. Let's get more tits.
Yeah, not just tits.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Yeah, it's but he's European. That's what they do.
Europeans are very free with their bodies, yes.
Yeah. I do enjoy that movie still, and I do recommend it. And I have read the book a couple of times. The last time was like 5 years ago, I've also read, I like Heinlein. I've read a few of his novels. And he is a bit confusing to me politically, judging from his books. Like,
wait, hold on. You talk about this book? You talk about Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
Because my quick glance from me said that the book was actually just completely pro-fascist, and Verhoeven flipped it into a satire.
Right. He didn't even finish the book. But honestly, there are lines in the book that tell me that it is also satire. And he's written, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress is pretty libertarian, which is sort of right-wing. But so many of his other books come off very leftist. So honestly, like, I am a bit confused by Heinlein's initial motivations for the book. Like, is it also satire or not? And I don't know. I haven't looked into it or anything to see what other people have said, but yeah, I don't know that it is as like right-wing pro-fascist as people like, or Verhoeven thinks it is. And also I'm pretty sure that Heinlein wrote that book like during the height of World War II. So why would he write something that was pro-fascism? Like, it seems like it should be satire. Let me look up when the book came out.
Well, just for context here, like, where did he live? Like, who was he exactly? Because he may be pro-fascist depending on where he's from and like what political parties he supported.
Just looking from his profile on Wikipedia, it says Heinlein repeatedly addressed certain social themes: the importance of individual liberty and self-reliance, the nature of sexual relationships, the obligation individuals owe to their societies, influence of organized religion on culture and government, and the tendency of society to repress nonconformist thoughts. I mean, he doesn't sound right-wing. And honestly, like, the books that I've read from him are, I mean, maybe Starship Troopers is a little bit, but I don't know. There are moments in the book where, like, they also talk about how Earth attacked first. You know, these bugs are just responding.
I don't know. I have no context for this. This is
okay. Well, I know this is very much part of Verhoeven's like reason for making the movie in the direction that he did from the perspective of the fascists. But I think maybe he also missed some of the points of Heinlein's writings because he missed not finishing the book.
I mean, this is a bold claim, right? I can already see the comments. Tara accuses director of not understanding the book, even though she likes the movie, which is the really weird part. But
that's okay. Like, I think it's okay to have different versions of things. You know, I love The Lord of the Rings, and I also love Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. They are very different, but they're both beautifully told stories with great themes and great characters. I love the Shining film from Kubrick. I'm sure the book is good too. I haven't read it.
I mean, I'll stick up for Kubrick's The Shining, but no comment on The Lord of the Rings. The 12 hours of sleep, as I call it. But
you are alone on your lonely mountain.
I am not.
Lord of the Rings.
Other people think Lord of the Rings is boring. That is not me. That is not just me.
Those are wrong people. Those people probably also don't like or appreciate this movie.
If I take one more step, it'll be the most steps I've ever taken from home. If I take another step, this will be the new most steps I've ever taken from home. Another step.
Did you see that like 12-hour cut?
I didn't know. No, but that's probably why it's in my head, as someone mentioned it recently to me. Because I wouldn't remember that line was in the movie. I don't remember scenes from that movie. Are you kidding me?
I know it all by heart.
I remember people walking around in Groots at one point in the second one, I think. That was the extent of my memory. And just there's the third one having about 1 million endings and never, just like, I kept thinking I was done. And then it was like, no, there's another scene. And I'm like, screw you, movie. Screw you, movie.
It's a beautiful movie with a beautiful ending.
I said, though, the Hobbit trilogy makes it look like gold. But that's that's a debate for another time. We have a bit of fantasy here. We're the British Science Fiction podcast, damn it. Let's get back to the task at hand, which is Starship Troopers.
An excellent film.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. I'll say this: the music's very good. I like the score. It's the same composer who did RoboCop, and you can tell. I think there's definitely some moments. There's some stuff towards the end when they're like creeping around in like caves, and there was like just these little things. Because obviously the main brassy bit sounds kind of RoboCop-y because the big brass, but there's some of the little mysterious bits of music actually also made me think, even probably more so, that it was actually almost directly little bits of the RoboCop score, and I'm like, Basil, I'm paying attention to you. I see you using some of your same tricks again.
I also like the score. I think it's very militaristic. It's very appropriate for the film.
It's bombastic. Cadenlithu drop, whatever the place is called. That track is really good, and Verhoeven clearly knew it was good because he used it in the end credits as well. So fair play. All right, well, I think we should probably get into spoilers soon, so I will take this time to thank our Patreon producers for the month. So thank you to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Sharp, Board Now, Al Tribesman, Christopher Moy, Brett Williams, and David Brown. Thank you to you guys for being Patreon producers. That means you're $20 or more. So, Tara, go into your Patreon plug, please.
Sure. If you enjoy our show and the reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV. And if you donate as low as $1 per month, you will get access to bonus episodes of The Ace. So if you're looking for your favorite B movies like Time Cop or 1995's Judge Dredd, some David Carradine gems, please check out the Patreon page. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to these reviews 1 day early. And some other shows you get a week early. So thank you.
There you go. So full spoilers from this point on for Starship Troopers, the Party Poopers. Oh no. I know.
Also, we're probably going to do all the sequels on our Ace bonus episodes.
That's true. We'll probably the sequels to this will probably be bonus material. Although I feel like we promised Tremors first, though. I think we have to start with the Tremors sequels before we get the sequels to this.
I think we have enough room.
Yeah, we can alternate. So you want to do a Tremors 2, then a Starship Troopers 2.
I don't want to forget what happens.
Do you think the plot is going to be important, continuity-wise, going forward?
I think it takes 2 franchises to make up for the loss of Trancers.
No more Jack Death. We have to watch more of Johnny Rico, who was the only actor willing to come back because everyone else was a bigger star.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know what Busey's doing now.
Oh, Busey's in things. I mean, I see Busey in things.
I haven't. I've seen him in Contact and Starship Troopers, and then I never saw him in anything else.
No, Jay Busey's in tons of stuff. I mean, he was in the new Predator film most recently.
I saw that movie. I don't remember him in it.
He was in The Frighteners. He was in Identity.
That was before this movie.
He was in Stranger Things.
I don't watch Stranger Things. I don't watch TV.
He was in Agents Shield. Again, more TV, but he was in things. I will not have this. I will not have a Busey insulted on my watch. How dare you?
Sure.
Oh, that's right. He was in a crappy horror film called Arbor Demon that me and Tim did on Screams a couple of years ago. It wasn't good, but yeah, he was there.
Does it take place on Arbor Day?
Yes.
Does it really?
I think that was the thing. Yeah. I had to ask him what Arbor Day was. I didn't know what Arbor Day is.
I don't think I know what Arbor Day is. I know it's a thing.
I don't know if Tim knew what it was either. I remember asking him. I don't remember if he gave me an answer.
Isn't it like a fall holiday?
I don't know. Anyway, full spoilers for Starship Troopers. The movie, it kind of follows this format where we're interested in the characters in high school. They're just about to graduate, even though they graduated 10 years ago. And two of them really want to join up with the military because that's the done thing. Johnny Rico, though, isn't expected to because he comes from money. His parents are rich, and they're upset that he's going to join the military. They want him to just go on a vacation to the rings of Saturn or whatever they said, and they want him to be safe, and the people die when they get sent off to serve in the military. But he does it for all the wrong reasons, which is Denise Richards is really excited about it, and she bats her eyelids at him, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to join up too. I mean, Michael Ironside also kind of bats his eyelids at him as well, technically.
Yeah, he's been going to this school, public school, which is all militarized, and every school is like ROTC. Yeah.
It's almost as if OCP themselves were funding all the school systems. Oh dear. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of better Verhoeven movies. So.
Do you really not like this one?
It's okay. It's okay. I don't love it. I'm very middling on it.
I bet it grows on you.
I don't know. I don't know if it will. We'll see. I hope it does. I don't. That's not that I want to dislike it.
I just think it's so smart. Such a smart, dumb movie.
It's missing something. Like, I get what it's doing, but it's missing something. Anyway, so we're introduced to not only the love triangle of Rico is dating Denise Richards, but then Dina Meyer's there, and she's really into Rico and is trying to steal him every step of the way. Yes, Dizzy. And then we're introduced to maybe it's more of a square technically, because we're introduced to kind of a sort of rival guy at the weird, it's like American football meets basketball, or whatever the sport is. It's basically American football, but they're playing it in an indoor court, from the best I could tell.
Yeah, I think this is a fun scene because it's sort of, now that you know when you're watching it that you're watching like the perfect like utopia fascist future, that all of their like high school athletes are basically Olympians. Like everybody's super pretty, everybody is really good at like sports. Even the women are like, I think Dizzy might be like the quarterback or whatever. She's definitely in charge when she's on the field. Like all the sports are co-ed because everyone's equal. It's I think it's an odd scene because it's like a high school sports scene that's like way too good, but
that's the only thing that sticks out to me. Maybe I have a misunderstanding here, but I never got the impression that a fascist society would actually want women to be treated equal. Is that a misunderstanding I have?
Well,
or?
I don't know, because there is that whole line about the not being able to give birth without permission says to me that women are still like pregnancy bags. Women are still just a womb. But if you don't have right, like obviously they don't have autonomy over their body when it comes to that, but like the free sex or whatever of the future, like everything is co-ed, and sex isn't frowned upon or anything like that. Like, so there's still some fascism there, but it's in the sense that I don't think women have autonomy over their biological functions for their government, but otherwise I think they do seem to be pretty equal. And it's probably because if you're not chosen, then you might as well, serve your purpose.
Oh no, I get what it is in the movie. I'm asking, is this something that actual fascism in the real world has hinted at or backs up? Because it doesn't. I don't get the impression that it has.
I don't know. We see like women. I don't want to say generals, but like women who are in charge of things in like communist countries. So maybe. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, because all I'm hearing in my head right now is the scene from Jojo Rabbit where what's her face? Rebel.
I've had 12 children for Germany.
Yes. Like all I'm thinking is like, because that the entire point of the Hitler Youth was like all the girls are going to go learn to have babies and cook because that's what women are there for, right? And all the boys are going to learn how to fight and be soldiers, and that's so to me like again. I'm kind of limiting here.
Well, this is a modified version of a fascist future.
Sure.
It's still a utopia that everybody would want to be in. Look, like women can be whatever they want, men can be whatever they want.
I mean, are you saying
just not mothers?
are you saying that the fascist system that kind of won out in this world, one of the caveats they had to have, one of the things they realized they had to do to win was like sort of win over like half the population that were otherwise going to be treated like shit, and they went, oh, maybe this is how they came to power.
Yeah, this is not the Handmaid's Tale future.
Yes.
But maybe a hint of it. I mean, that line about the motherhood thing is there.
No, but it's an interesting detail that I don't think actually lines up with fascism as we know it, or at least as I know it, as I've understood it. It's like everything else is very fascist, but that one key thing where, like, there are women playing on the same sporting teams, there are women who are in charge of like ships and stuff. Like, that does feel different to me than what I've seen of fascism. And maybe the idea is that equality happened and then fascism took over. So the idea was it was just normal before fascism took hold. Whereas when fascism was kind of like really trying to take over back in the 30s, but we were so far behind on equality that there was like a natural, I don't know.
I mean, if it's just a militaristic future where everything is run by the military, then it would make sense that women would also be very militaristic. And you would have to just adapt. Like, you would have to just say, okay, well, our infantry can include females also.
Well, that's all I'm trying to get you to say, really. It's just sort of explore why this choice was made. Like, why in the script or in the book even, whoever one had the idea to, make that choice. That particular part of this world.
Yeah. I think I remember something in the book about a line that stood out to me. About like having women on the battlefield like helped the men fight better or something like that. Somehow they took the idea of women will have equal rights and be able to fight on the battlefield and turned it into a sexist thing. Yeah. I think there was something in there that I remember.
Oh, the men will all be doubly heroic because they think they have to take care of the women. That's what that sounds like to me.
So something like that. I do wish the designs of the suits were more like what was described in the book, because we do get that in Edge of Tomorrow and it's awesome. Like, those are the Starship Trooper suits I wanted to see in this movie, but they're not very practical. Plus, like, a dozen people got heat stroke, including Jake Busey on the set while filming because it was 120 degrees and they're all wearing armor. So I understand why we don't have that. It's just kind of a bummer we don't get to see the cool suits.
Edge of Tomorrow's will be a better movie, so it's fine.
You don't have to be mean.
I love that I put you in a corner there because you love Edge of Tomorrow, so you might prefer it, but you don't want to just go along with what I said because you don't want to badmouth this one either. So
no, I don't. I think you're taking like the opposite side because I'm being so positive, and you think it's kind of okay, but you have to come off as like the bad cop.
I think because you think it's excellent and I think it's just okay. I think inherently I am the bad cop.
Oh yeah, definitely.
On the scale.
You don't have to jazz it up.
Yes, I do. It's a show. It's maybe entertaining.
We are the top radio. We are the NPR of movie reviews.
Quid pro quo and all that jazz. You gotta be whipping it back and forth, all that. So, anyway, so yeah, so I love how we actually talked about them playing a sport, and that led to that.
There's a lot in this film.
Hey, to be fair, I'll give it credit, right? That one idea of this sport, and the fact that the quote unquote quarterback, because I don't even know what the quarterback does. Stupid sports.
It seems some sort of football-ish. Yeah. I don't know.
But even like that, it did lead to some good conversations. So if nothing else, I'll say it succeeds as a science fiction film because it's making me talk about things and it's making me think about things. I just don't know how much I actually enjoyed the story of actually watching it.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying. But yeah, so he signs up and they basically take a test, and on that first day they're basically I said basically like 3 times there. I apologize.
You're a horrible co-host.
I know. Co-host? How dare you? Oh, fine. You lead this conversation then. If you're hosting, you host.
As host, I demand that you do it.
You seem to think host is a position of power. It is simply not.
The one who gets paid is the one who does it.
Okay, so I mean, we actually glossed over a scene which I'm just going to mention it because it was vaguely amusing, which was they're like dissecting like the bugs in class and Denise Richards vomits. It was vaguely amusing. But they get like a test when they sign up for the military, and this one test on like one day mixed with the school results basically determines which branch of the military they're going to go in. And they come out, and Denise Richards says, "Oh, I'm in the pilots. I'm in the fleet. I'm going to go up and fly spaceships. It's so cool. That's why I worked so hard at my math test. Yeah." And then Neil Patrick Harris comes out. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to science and command." I was like, "Oh," and the guy who's like signing up says, "Oh, next time I meet you, I'm going to be saluting you." It's like, "Oh, very good."
Military intelligence.
So, how about you, young Johnny Rico? I'm field infantry. And he's like, that's good, man. That's field infantry made me what I am today. As he shakes his hand with a prosthetic limb and he's missing 2 legs. Yep. And Johnny's like, I might have made a bad move here.
That character is taken directly out of the book as well. Like the first time you meet somebody who is like a recruiter, he's missing all of his limbs.
It's foreshadowing for Ironside.
Ironside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is almost like kind of where I wish the movie went. No, is him noticing more things, and at least for a while, maybe, as you say, questioning, or maybe, or even if you go full comedy with it, never have him question it, but have constant things that shoved in his face that tell him this is a bad idea and this is all horrible and wrong, and have him just be ignorant to it, because then maybe that could be funny. It could be like almost the style is like slapstick comedy where someone keeps missing like these life-threatening things, but they never know, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like there's something
like
like that.
Buster Keaton movie.
Yeah, like a Buster Keaton, which we just talked about on Twilight Zone. So I don't know. Anyway, so they kind of split up at that point, though. They all vow to be friends forever, and they're going to have this long distance relationship as Denise Richards and her main vanilla white dude and
Johnny Rico.
Vanilla white.
As they go off to boot.
As they go off to boot camp. We meet a lot of other very likable actors. Interestingly, we follow Denise Richards as well. We see her side of things, not as much as Johnny's, but we see a lot of it. Neil Patrick Harris just disappears from the movie for a long time. It's all mysterious because he's doing all these like high up things, like the high in rank, and it's all behind the curtain and all that. But there is, some over the top stuff at boot camp. There's like the Clancy Brown makes Jake Busey put his hand out to prove why learning how to throw a knife is important, and just throws a knife at his hand just to make a point. It almost becomes a running joke where they'll shout medic at the end of a scene because he's
there's a payoff. It's a very RoboCop payoff.
It is a very RoboCop payoff because Johnny, when he's in charge, they're doing like a live fire exercise against dummies, and someone's helmet's malfunctioning, even though we get no impression that the helmets do anything other than just sit in their head.
Well, I think it's a communication thing.
Okay.
He says, I can't hear you guys. Something's wrong with my helmet. And yeah, he takes off the helmet. And then we see another recruit like get lasered by the enemy dummies and shoot him in the face. And it's a pretty fun prosthetic.
Yeah, his head goes pop, for lack of a better term. And naturally he gets in trouble, and we actually get like But
that's when he shouts medic.
That's when he shouts medic, and it's pretty funny. And he gets lashes for this. He gets 10 lashes, and
it's either 10 lashes or the walk of shame home. Not allowed to become a citizen.
But this is all an example again of this system and its archaic kind of ideas, to the point where Clancy Brown even leans in and says, "Bite in this, it helps, trust me, I know." Or even later on when he becomes the new Michael Ironside, because that's essentially what happens, is he takes over and like starts saying all the same things that he did. And then it's just perpetrating.
Come on, apes, you want to live forever?
People to turn into the same versions of what's already been, just a cycle of the same fascist people. That value all the wrong things, that value shooting first and not thinking ever or asking questions ever. just shoot first. That's it. That's all you need to do. But he kind of bonds with Jake Busey, and he bonds with Dina Meyer, who does end up in the same squad. She claims not to have requested to move there because of him, even though
We know otherwise.
Yeah. That was one of the other things that stuck out to me in this part of the film, is how little privacy anyone has, which I guess is also, like, here it's in a jokey way where he's trying to, like, watch messages that has been sent to him, or he's trying to send a message, and everyone's in the background showing their ass or cracking jokes. But, you know, when you think about fascism, a big part of it is that no one's allowed their own individual thought. Like, everyone's always been monitored, everyone has to, like, you know, be towing the government line, or you'll be, you know, never heard of again, you'll be taken in the middle of the night.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm sure their video emails that they send to each other are
on disk.
are screened.
On disk as well.
Yeah. They're
CD-ROMs.
Beforehand. On CD-ROMs. They say write to me, but it's just like a video call.
Yeah.
I like that.
So they're all looking over his shoulder when she dumps him, and they all get kind of awkward, and Jake Busey's like, "You've still got me."
It does look like modern day boot camp in a way, though, because it is very much like that. I assume you've seen Full Metal Jacket?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I mean, that movie was made in, what, the 70s, and it's still, boot camp is very much exactly the same as in that movie, at least American boot camp. It's just one big room that you're in with bunks around it with no privacy for 2 months.
Well, yeah, I'm sure this is just based on what boot camp's like, but with the sci-fi touches, you know, on top.
Yeah.
You know, he actually ends up quitting, and he wants to go home because he talks to his parents, and he's like, you know, parents, it's not working out, I'm going to come out, and they're very happy. But then it turns out that, because one of the things the bugs, you know, are doing, you know, is that they're sending meteors to Earth, and a meteor hits Buenos Aires and kills his parents and millions of other people, and that's when he storms into the, you know, the Hank from Breaking Bad, and he's like, "Sir, forget that I resigned. Reinstate me. I want to kill these bugs."
Yep. That's what it takes, right? A big attack. That's all it takes to become radicalized.
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently so. I like this better though when it's Batman. I relate to the Batman way of doing this more. The lone, misunderstood. I
mean, he wasn't going to take the walk of shame home, right? He wasn't going to do it, but then they gave him the lashings, and that was like a moment where he decided, like, this isn't for me. Because even when he's taking the lashings, like, you see the other recruit, the one that actually shot the gun under his, you know, supervision, she's on her way home. Mm-hmm. And so he feels responsible. The lashings are, you know, something he's done, but he's made the decision to go home anyway. And there is a bit of a defeatist thing there, but maybe it was also that the lashings kind of put something in his mind, like, maybe this isn't right. Maybe this isn't the right way to do something.
Well, I think part of it as well is that if he has an arc in the movie, it's kind of just losing whatever he has left of his humanity, and the idea that he feels guilty about the person that died and the person who had to get kicked out, and then it becomes personal. And by the time he gets, you know, post, you know, Ironside, where he becomes the lieutenant and he's yelling things like, you know, keep fighting or I'll shoot you myself, or, you know, things like that, he just kind of loses any type of his, you know, he becomes just one of the drones. He's just one of the parts of the machine, the fastest machine.
I mean, this came out, you know, before 9/11, but after that happened, obviously, a lot of Americans gave up their freedoms willingly and allowed things like the Patriot Act to go through, or supported, you know, invading Iraq. And it was because we were just like, well, whatever it takes to get retribution for what happened. And without thinking, like, are we doing, is what we're doing wrong? And I think Rico has that moment of, well, his hometown was killed by bugs, including his family. And it's just immediately, I want to join up. I don't want to quit. He gets his radicalism back.
Yep. He has this motivation that drives him forward, and the characters, you know, interact again. Like, you know, they run into each other, particularly him and Denise Richards, and it ends up fighting because the douchebag that he was having a bit of a rivalry with in the sports team, of course, turns out to be also in the flight portion of the military, and he ends up actually he maneuvered his way to be the superior to Denise Richards, so that he's there by her side, giving her orders. Mm-hmm. And we never actually see it get romantic. They almost kiss at one point, but they're interrupted, and it never actually explicitly shows us them having a romantic. I mean, you assume it's happening, you never see it, but, you know.
Yeah. Did you like Amy Smart showing up for a little cameo too? That was
For,
kind
like,
of fun.
two scenes.
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny is that I didn't really know who Amy Smart was, but she was on Stargirl this past year, and that's where I kind of know her from.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it took me a
she's
second to
in
recognize
a few
her.
movies, not good movies, but ones that I had seen.
She's in Kevin Smith movies, I think. She not? I want to say.
Maybe. I don't
think that-
know.
Maybe I'm wrong. She's like so far down the cast list because she's like barely a speaking part.
I mean, she was in the Butterfly Effect. She was in.
Oh, I've seen that.
The
Unfortunately,
Jason Statham one, where he takes the drugs that would be
Crank.
adrenaline drug. Crank. She was in a horrible horror film called Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland that I saw.
oh, she was in Road Trip. I saw that back in the day. No, I don't imagine that's aged well.
Yeah.
Wait,
Probably not.
Todd Phillips, as in Joker. Todd Phillips made Road Trip. Oh my god! No
Yeah,
wonder it's so shit.
Yeah, he made the Hangover movies. He did comedy.
Hangovers are overrated.
Oh, they're not good. I only
Piece
saw
of
the
trash
first two,
anyway.
and I don't.
I only saw the first one. It didn't do it for me. I have to say. Yeah.
I've
Well,
also gotten drunk to the point of time travel in Vegas and in Thailand, and so I thought maybe the movie would be relatable, but it is not. I do not like those movies. Not to
okay.
boast.
I've never been drunk in general, never mind to the point of time travel, so I cannot relate, nor do
I don't recommend it.
nor do I tend to sympathize with characters and things who are that blind drunk.
Mm.
Anyway, Starship Troopers. Where were we? They drop. Yes, they go to war. They drop on the planet, and
War!
immediately
We're going to war.
immediately they have to retreat because the generals or the officials in charge underestimated how smart the bugs were. Oh wait, they're not just like going to bend over and take it, like they're going to fight back, and they're actually quite smart and have a lot of numbers. Oh dear. Oh, we killed 100,000 of our own people by sending them in there. This death trap. Oh, that was a poor move.
I like that when you see the bugs, it takes so much ammunition to maybe kill one. Like it really does seem like a hopeless battle when you see any of the troopers go up against the bugs.
Yeah. The battle stuff's okay. It's kind of like I mean I like the music because this is when the best part of the music's playing is when they're dropping and all that.
You like the butt torpedoes? I always thought those are cool.
It's okay. I think the problem is that like I think the look of the infantry are very colonial marines, and
There's a lot of aliens in this.
yeah, and I think that's also something that hurts it is because Aliens is a perfect movie, and drawing comparisons to Aliens is never going to help you. Like it's never
There
going to
is
help
one
you.
guy at the end who has a very Bill Paxton death.
That is true. Yes.
You want some? You want more? You want some too?
There is that. Because that's actually one of the other things the movie does is the movie actually starts with a scene from here. Like the end of the news stuff actually has like the news because the news reporter who's there who gets killed at the end of the scene. You actually see a little bit of his broadcast at the start of the movie, and it comes up saying 1 year earlier. I guess that was just to like, hey, there's action coming, we promise. Like it almost feels like the studio said, hey, put a little bit of the action scene at the start just so that everyone knows there's action scenes coming.
Yeah, maybe. I'd
I'm
like to
on
watch it with
board.
commentary.
Paul
But
Verhoeven,
I don't own the Blu-ray. I just stream it.
yes. I don't know if
It'll be Criterion one day.
I don't know about that. Maybe. Like I don't know.
There's some questionable Criterion choices, all right? I think Verhoeven's going to have some.
Well, yeah, but it's not about what they want to give a criterion to. It's about whether or not they'll give the rights from the studio to be allowed to make one. I'm sure if they could do a criterion of Rear Window, they'd have done one by now because it's like the Hitchcock's best movie. But they can't just take it from Universal.
That's a pretty bold claim.
I stand by it. It's his best movie. People can come fight me. Just like RoboCop's Verhoeven's best movie. Come at me, bros.
Well, I mean, I would agree with that also, but man, Total Recall and Starship Troopers are great.
Total Recall's great. Total Recall was a pleasant surprise when we visited that last year. I was like, oh hey, you know what? This is actually really good. This is much better than my memory served me. I think my Verhoeven opinion rose at least a good point that day. It was a nice, feel good story. Yeah, this is kind of just. I mean, it's better than I remember,
Great.
but it's not. Because after the drop, right, and a lot of them die, and but still, I mean, that's the main cast still there. Rico was actually declared dead on the records, but he's actually fine. He's in like a tank getting his leg wound fixed. And by this point they've all got tattoos, like his squad. They've all bonded.
Death from above.
This is when they get sent off to this unit that's known for being really good, and this is where Michael Ironside shows up with a robotic hand. He's running this squad, and this is where they, and again, this idea that we'll reward you if you're the best soldiers possible, because after they have like some successful fights where Rico like rides on the top of a big bug and like shoots it from above, and it's this big over the top scene.
I love all the bug blood. It's just like bright orange or bright green, and it's or like there's one guy who's shooting a bug and he's just getting mustard like thrown on in the entire scene.
but he gives them like, hey, if you give us the best, I'll give you the best. Then he hands them out lots of booze and like
beer
and
a fiddle
and like sports balls to play with and all sorts. And encourages Rico and Dana Myers to have sex. Gives them 10 extra minutes to get the deed done. And
nice.
Then this is kind of like where the movie again maybe goes back to its metaphor a little bit, because then the bugs turn out to be smart enough to lay a trap, because they go to this outpost, there's been a distress call and everyone's dead, and they're kind of like getting in here and it's like, oh, what happened here? Everyone's already dead. And the guy who's over by the comms like says had like his head's been drilled and the brain's missing, as if like something like was trying to access knowledge. And they're like, shit, these things may actually be quite smart. Like, they're using tactics and stuff. Like,
we did see some like, I want to call it like propaganda TV, but maybe a little bit of two scientists debating whether or not there was a hive mind, like a brain bug, that was organizing everything. So this sort of confirms that.
Yeah, it felt kind of like a scientist on a right-wing channel trying to tell us about like, climate change.
The idea of a brain bug offends me.
Yeah. I was getting like visions of someone saying, climate change is real, and this is the things that's going to start happening. It was what are you talking about? I just saw snow outside. You're an idiot.
Yeah, it was very much like that, like turn up to 11. It was great.
But and this is where the guy from Total Recall and Twins shows up. He pops out of a closet, literally. Well, actually, it's a freezer. It's a freezer because he's shivering. It's a freezer he was hiding in. But it's a trap. They've basically laid this trap. They actually they forced the human that had his head drilled in to make the distress call to lure people in. This was all a trap, and this is where Michael Ironside, bless him, like loses his legs. He gets sucked into a pit.
Yep.
And then insists that Rico shoot him. He's like, you know what you do. You know what you do. Do it.
Come on. He could have been like that recruiting guy.
It could have been. He wasn't going to be like that, though.
Too proud.
It's too proud, yes. Which, again, kind of shows like a paradox in their way of thinking, where this guy, the recruiting at the start, it's sort of almost been like brainwashed to talk about how proud he is of his time and that he did what he did for his not just his country but his entire race. And Michael Ironside, though, like before this, when he's like, I'm not going to live like that. I'm not going to live like someone who has no legs. Shoot me now. Like, I
mean, well, he was dying.
They could have taken him. They had fancy medicine. He could have survived.
He could have gone into the little fishbowl.
Exactly. But I mean, this is one of the better action sequences actually, when they're trying to defend this outpost. They're trying to hold out until some backup shows up to evacuate them. It's probably, I think, better than the actual drop action sequence, because the drop action sequence, once they land, it's just a mess of things happening. There's just hundreds of people running around. Here, there's actually like a base that they're trying to defend. They've got a variety of weapons. You know, they're throwing grenades at Mouse.
It's daytime.
Yeah, you can see things better. Yeah, it's daytime. Dina Meyer does get skewered here though, and
but it's okay because she got to be with Rico.
Yes. I don't know what to make of that line, to be honest. Like that was her one goal in life.
She is Eponine, and Denise Richards is Cosette, and she just got to have her one. So I got a Les Mis poster in the back. So
yeah, don't think I didn't notice, by the way, that during the quote unquote love scene, she tells him that she loves him. And he just kisses her, and that's it. He never actually says it back. So all I could think of during this scene was she's like, "It's okay, because I got to have you," and I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, he wasn't as committed. He basically only even did it because Michael Ironside said, "Look, son, you've got an opportunity for some sex. You don't turn down the sex. You take the sex. You don't ask too many questions.
Take my advice. Don't turn down a good thing."
Yeah.
And Denise Richards is out of the picture. You know, Carmen's gone, and he said, "You know what? She is a good thing."
Yes.
I don't think the sex is the good thing. I think he sees her as like, you know, she is a good thing. She's great. Okay. And she's one of, you know, brothers in arms.
Well, you know, it's funny actually, because I'm on the IMDb page of Starship Troopers, obviously, as I usually am as we're talking about it. And you always get like those like 6 photos, because I mean there's actually 909 photos for this movie for some reason. But out of the 6 photos they've given me, of the 6 photos they've given me, one of them's sticking out to me because it features none other than Sarah Michelle Gellar, the star of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who was apparently at the premiere, and that's why there's a photo of her at the premiere.
That was so useless. That added absolutely nothing.
I know
you got to say a catchphrase.
Why are you trying to poo-poo my catchphrase moment this hard?
It's a reach.
Sometimes you gotta reach up for the stars, okay? Nothing wrong with reaching. If there's something worth grabbing, you reach for it.
And Rico did.
What? Okay. Yes. So then there's a big fight. This is where Neil Patrick Harris shows back up, and one thing we glossed over at the start actually is that there's one scene at the start that shows us that he has telepathy, which is actually so random. Like, it introduces this idea that he can tell. I think it's just like he's ferret. He can tell it to go and like cause chaos with his mum.
Yeah.
And he can't communicate with humans, at least not yet. But he's like training himself to try and like develop his abilities. And one of the commercials we get halfway through the movie is like saying, "Hey, could you be psychic? Then use your psychic powers for good." But
just like Babylon 5, humans' next stage of evolution will be psychic abilities.
Yes, Babylon 5, a good piece of science fiction.
Yes. Not as good as Starship Troopers, but
better than Starship Troopers.
We'll see. There's still time.
I'm invested. There is no Londo Mollari equivalent in this movie, right? I defy you to even point at someone with half the energy and charisma.
Michael Ironside and Clancy Brown.
They're good, don't get me wrong. They are good. But not Londo Mollari. That's not crazy now. Yes, but anyway, so Denise Richards, who's actually the pilot who comes down and saves them from the previous fight, she ends up crashing when her big main ship gets cut in half, blown in half by the... Because one of the things that bugs have is they have these big energy blasts that they can send off into space. So they've sending off a bunch of those, and the big giant ship falls apart, and her and the love interest rival get into an escape pod, and they crash into a cave, and there's bugs there. And
the bugs don't kill them.
They don't kill them. They keep them alive because their mind bug comes out. The one who can like scan the brains with his big spike. He comes out, does that to love interest dude, and Rico thinks they're dead. I like
the effect of his face like concaving in while his brain's getting sucked out.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah,
it's a good death.
But Rico basically is going to go try and save them, but then hears screaming and says, "Look, we know they're dead. That's not." But they're going in the caves anyway for the main mission. But then he has this feeling that no, I feel like she's alive somehow. I don't know how. And I was getting ready to call bullshit on this this moment.
Yeah.
Because I'd forgotten.
Well, it sort of sets up like maybe he'll have telepathy. Like he's trying really hard, but he just doesn't have it in the beginning. But maybe he's having it now.
Well, this is the thing. By this point in the movie, I had forgotten telepathy was ever a thing that had been mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I had forgotten that they'd ever brought the subject up, and it wasn't until Neil Patrick Harris shows up after they've caught the big mind bug thing, and he goes up and like puts his hand out. He's like, "What's the thing?" He's like, "It's scared," and everyone cheers. Which is again, you shouldn't be cheering that you're making some indigenous
That's the big
creature
moment.
scared.
I think that's the big moment where like we get the brain bug. It's surrounded by Earth troops, and he scans it and says it's afraid, and everybody cheers. But you do see it, and it is afraid. You kind of feel bad for it, like an animal.
Yeah, but he says to Rico that Rico says to him, "Oh, you're why I knew she was alive. You were putting it in my head that she was okay." He's like, "That's classified," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, they set up telepathy at the start of the movie, and I'd completely forgotten because it hadn't been mentioned in such a long time." Outside of that one ad, which I guess did happen in the middle of the movie. Which the point of that was
bring up military intelligence a couple of times in the film.
Yeah, but I'd completely forgotten the telepathy was even something that was brought up. So I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that was the thing. Sure, okay, whatever." And the movie just ends there. Rico's become Michael Ironside. It ends with another sort of like propaganda ad. Almost as if to capper the whole movie as one big propaganda movie. Almost as if this movie was made to recruit people. This isn't even like the real world in this fascist world. This is just like a movie they made for their own people, kind of thing.
Exactly.
And that's it's a fine idea. It's a fine idea. Like, I'm sorry I don't love it. I am.
It's all right.
I wish I liked it more. I want to like it more. There's a lot of reasons why I should like it more. There's a lot of good cast members in this. Not the main dude and not Denise Richards, but there's a lot of other good supporting cast sprinkled throughout.
I like Casper Van Dien. He's got a great chin.
He's no Robert Zadar. That's all I'm saying.
No, he's no Zadar. That's for sure. That man, I think, had like elephantitis or something in his jaw.
No, he legitimately had a condition that caused that jawline. But and I only know that because someone looked it up when I was watching Samurai Cop like yesterday.
Yeah, I think I've looked him up before because he's in like 3 episodes of Mystery Science Theater.
It was a Maniac Cop, which ironically he's in with Bruce Campbell, who wrote an autobiography called If Chins Could Kill, because he has a big chin, like for a normal person. But Zadar, I cracked this joke on stream, but if Bruce Campbell's chin could kill, then Zadar's chin could probably commit genocide because the thing is like huge.
Yeah.
But yes, Robert Zadar. He passed away a few years ago. Sad loss.
Yeah.
It was a very, very notable presence whenever he was in something. But
he's great with a katana.
I think that's up for debate. That's up for debate.
What does katana mean? It means Japanese sword. I love that movie.
Let's check out Samurai Cop. Recommend it for a fun bad time. Yeah, I think I don't really have anything new to say here at the end. It's kind of the same point I wanted to make at the start, which is I appreciate the satire, but I think it's missing something more to actually make me care about it as a story as I'm watching it. I think the conversation was pretty good, talking about some of the details and some of the things that are there sprinkled in. The fact that they make Denise Richards be like this perfect pilot where she's like cutting it so close when she's backing out of the spaceport that they're all like really nervous that she's going to scrape the side of the ship, but it's actually just like a millimeter like away, and it's perfect.
It's because she's the best.
Because she's the best of the best of the best, and Rico turns out to be the best of the best of the best. Like, everyone's the best.
Yeah. Even Carl at the end showed up to be the one to scan the brain bug.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Clancy Brown accepts a demotion so that he can go and fight in the infantry because he wants to fight.
Yeah. And he's the one who technically captured the brain bug, so he becomes the great war hero.
Yes. They all put him on their shoulders and You know, they're cheering and all the rest of it. It's, I mean, the whole thing's promoting xenophobia. The whole thing's promoting the other race as the other, and the comparison's been made that the media, especially propaganda media, and certainly when you go back, because I know a lot of this was outright based. I think the opening is based on a very specific propaganda piece that the Nazis made, but a lot of that stuff does treat like the enemy like they're not human, and I think part of fiction is to take something like that and make it literal. So in this case, they're literally bugs. They're literally giant bugs. So that's why at face value, it's just that they're just being literal. But then as you stop to think about it, you realize that it is a metaphor, that it's satire. It's representing something that people actually do. I appreciate all these things. I just don't actually like watching it that much, because I don't really get invested in any of the characters or what they're doing. And the reason why I bring up RoboCop as a comparison, because I think it has excellent satire, it has excellent political commentary, but it also has a heart where I care about Alex Murphy, and I care about him finding his humanity by the end. And you could do the opposite. You can make it a tragedy where the character loses his humanity. It's just that, as we said at the start, I mean,
he sort of does, but he never really had it.
Yeah, he does technically, but like he went from having like 5% of humanity to having 0, and it's not much of a it's not much of a difference.
The movie is more of like a test to see if you fall for the propaganda, like if you end up rooting for everybody. And I think the last moment with the brain bug, when they say that it's afraid, and you're like, yeah, somebody should do something. Instead, everybody just cheers. You're like, this is wrong. Like if you come out of the movie going, this is wrong, like what those people did was wrong.
Do you think?
Then you didn't fall for the propaganda. It's a test for all of us.
Yeah, I was skimming some thoughts about the movie before we came on, and one of the thoughts that I saw was the idea that part of the reason why maybe this fails a little bit to be successful with like a wide audience is that people who are actually a bit more prone to like being led to think this way don't get the satire, because they kind of just accept it at face value, so it just comes off as being a bit weird in that sense to them.
Probably.
And maybe in that sense, yeah, like perhaps making this, because that's the thing, when you look at the cover, even the trailer, I assume, I don't remember what the trailer's like, but I assume it was marketed as it's an action sci-fi
science
movie.
Fiction action movie, yeah, where our Aryan people that look like us are the heroes.
Yeah, it's the satire is there, and Verhoeven's very good at that. It definitely feels like a Verhoeven movie, but
plus all the nudity.
Plus the, it's not actually that much. I mean, it's only really that one scene.
Yeah, I don't even really. I don't remember seeing any wiener.
No, it was just boobs. There was no. Well, it was ass, but I mean, ass barely counts.
Yeah, it barely counts. I did hear that, or I did read in the trivia that both Verhoeven and the guy who was doing the shooting, like, were also naked during that scene.
To make everyone feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Would that make you feel comfortable? I feel like if I'm, Dina Meyer showing up to set, it's a fully nude scene, and the director's standing there with his wiener flapping about. I don't know if that makes me more comfortable.
Well, I mean, he's European. Like, you'd probably expect it.
Yeah.
They got lots of nude beaches over there.
Yeah, this is a mainland Europe thing, by the way. The UK is a bit more prudish than that.
Oh, you guys are a lot of prudes.
Whoa.
We know this to be true.
Hey, we actually allow R-rated content on regular TV channels after 9 o'clock, unlike your networks who have to censor things with the Yippee-Ki-Yay, Master Falcon, and things of that nature, right?
Yeah, but some of those are gold. I love a good cheese and rice instead of Jesus Christ.
They censored Jesus Christ?
Yeah, when I was a kid. That's one I remember. Or the great scene in Point Break where Keanu Reeves is about to jump out of an airplane and he yells the F word, instead is replaced with, "Let's do this," even though he's clearly just saying one syllable.
Oh, dear. Yeah, this whole like dub censorship was never a thing on TV in the UK. This was something I learned about when I was like in my 20s, because like someone casually.
Oh yeah, it's definitely wrong, but it is fun.
So
there's some good ones. I'm sure there's some compilation you can find on YouTube of great dubs.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Sounds like a hit. but yeah, Starship Troopers. It's, do you know, it's funny. Like, I feel like I'm almost a minority now because I feel like in the couple or so decades since this came out, it has developed a cult following, and there's so many. Because even I searched for it to look up some opinions, like every single headline or article was like, misunderstood gem or forgotten masterpiece, or I'm like, I feel like I'm in the minority now because I'm like, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying, but I still don't really like watching it that much.
All right.
So
we tried.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to agree with the consensus on everything like this,
Yeah.
Hey, we just got a comment on something recently said that it liked when we disagreed because it leads to better conversation apparently. So,
what one was that? We tend to agree on most things.
I think it was Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, which makes sense because that was a disagreeal.
Yeah,
Disagreement. That's a disagreeal. Clearly, I've been talking too long.
All right, yeah, it's time to wrap this up.
Yes. Well, okay. What are you going to rate Starship Troopers?
I still love it. I do think it's like one of Verhoeven's best. I do like RoboCop more, and there are some issues I have with the film, but for the most part, like, I think it really works, and I do like the special effects in it. I think they hold up pretty well, and the satire is on point, if not never better, from Verhoeven. I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
What? Are you absolutely off your mind? 9.5.
Hey, I rated it pretty high on my list of the top 50.
9.5.
Yeah. It goes up every time I watch it. So maybe next time it'll be a 10.
I don't even... Oh, what?
I mean, I came out of the movie going, that's a 9. That's a 9. But because you were being so negative, and then I was being extra positive, like, I love this movie, so screw you, 9.5.
This is... I don't even know what to say. I think I'm going to land on a 6.
Ooh.
What was you to say? I respect what it's doing, but I don't think it gets up to the good category for me where I actually care about it as I'm watching it. Like, I appreciate, like, I laugh at some of the satirical moments and the jokes and things like that, but I never care about the story or about where it's going. So it's lacking a layer for me. It's lacking a layer where I can actually feel something for it, whether it's because I'm rooting for something or because I'm feeling the tragedy and I'm like sad because it's gone down this dark path or something. It's missing that layer, whatever that layer may be.
What a shame.
So I'm going to say this is so weird, but because everyone said it's misunderstood, I'm going to call it overrated now. So to Starship Troopers, the overrated Verhoeven film.
You're just doing this for the show. There's no way.
Overrated. What I will say is that Total Recall that does make me want to revisit some other Verhoeven films from the 80s and 90s to see how I feel about them now, because I feel like
you don't like Black Book. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, well, that was later, but I'm thinking like I saw Basic Instinct a long time ago, but I'm wondering if I'll actually really like it now. I disliked it at the time, but I don't really remember what I felt about it, to be honest.
Well, when you're done with your Wim Wenders collection, maybe you can switch over to Verhoeven.
Yes. I think it was a tearjerker watching that, so my mind was definitely on something very specific during a couple of those scenes, but...
We all know which one.
Yeah. And now because I'm thinking of Sharon Stone, I'm just thinking back to Total Recall, when Arnold's like, consider that a divorce.
I agree. Total Recall is excellent.
Imagine like the plot of Basic Instincts playing out, and you got all this like steamy stuff with Michael Douglas and Sharon Stone, and then Arnold just bursts in the door with a machine gun and shoots and goes, "Consider that a divorce!" Like halfway through the movie.
Consider that a divorce.
Oh, it's great. All right, there you go. That's our ratings. Tara is going to do her pose after I give you the word. The word. Actually, no, the phrase is, would you like to know more? Put that in the comments. Would you like to know more? In the comments, if you made it this far into the review. Tara's going to pose for the thumbnail, so here we go. 3, 2, 1, pose.
Get it?
Do you know how much more work it is to like cut around your fingers when you do something like that?
Well, screw you.
Is that like?
I feel no sympathy.
That's intentional because I was mean towards your movie. Oh boy, over 1,000 reviews on IMDb for this one. That's a lot.
Wow.
Unique, subversive masterpiece.
I have a feeling most of them are going to be on my side.
Best satire since Doctor Strangelove. These are bold statements. Claimants. I can't speak anymore. But yes.
I bet you
Yes.
have to search pretty far to find one that supports your opinion.
Well, even the ones who don't like it won't support my opinion of it. Like, the ones who don't like it just don't get what it's doing, and
Yeah.
they think it's a bad action movie. I'm somewhere else. Oh, it's this 1 out of 10. Let's read this one. Right, I'm going to read this. This is like it's not that long. Right, this is from 1999.
Ooh.
Right, from a user called Arkil.
I love fascism.
It's titled Pathetic. Right. I can't believe that good film was wasted on this. I have seen many bad films over the years. This is by far the worst film I have ever tried to sit through. In fact, to call this movie bad would be an insult to bad movies.
Wow.
I feel like watching some of the stuff I've watched just for streams after midnight, and even for a couple of things for our bonus episodes, if this is the worst movie you've ever seen, then you have
You're
lived
lucky.
a very sheltered movie life.
Yeah,
That's all I'm going to say.
it is shot in a way that is very over the top, like silly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it almost has like a Sharknado quality to it, but it comes off like, because it's trying to make a point and it's not doing it like, let's purposely make a bad movie. Like it still works like a lot more. But if you don't know if you don't realize what you're watching, like, yeah, it comes off kind of bad.
Yeah, do you know what? All these 1 out of 10 reviews are all from 1999. They're all from just, in the years following the movie.
Yeah,
coming out.
when IMDb came out.
Although the first one, that's not the first one, but the one right after those says Misunderstood Masterpiece, 10 out of 10, and that is from the year 2000. So that was someone who was quite early to the party on the Misunderstood Masterpiece train.
Or just watched an interview with Verhoeven going, it's satire. Why don't you get it?
Oh dear. Okay, well there you go. That's your review section of the, show. This has been the Atomic Cinema Experiment. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. So should I see what's coming next week to tell them what to get excited for? So next week on the show, we're building up to episode 100, of course. We're very close. This was 97 for the record, in case you're curious. Next week, we're actually doing the next vote winner. Because this one's slightly late, so we're just getting to the next one straight away. And the next vote winner is the 1980s film The Dead Zone. So there we go. Yeah, that was definitely an 80s
Not a
vote.
first time watch for me. I'll be excited to see it again.
It is a first time watch for me, and I do like Christopher Walken, so I'm
But
looking
you
forward.
don't like Stephen King.
Well, I wouldn't say I dislike Stephen King.
You wouldn't say that?
I mean, he's got a lot of bad movie adaptations, but there's some good ones.
Okay. I mean, yeah, obviously The Shining.
The Shining, Shawshank, Misery. Green Mile's good. The Mist
Green
is...
Mile good? I don't know.
Nah, I think it is. The Mist is wonderful. The Mist is one of his best in terms of
definitely.
movie adaptations. There's a good handful of them. But then, of course, you have, the trash. And there's a decent amount of trash, too.
I like Dr. Sleep. That was surprisingly really good.
I liked a good portion of Doctor Sleep. There's a couple of things that it delved into, here's just the nostalgia, the franchise nostalgia stuff for The Shining.
It was just a surprise for me that I liked it.
Plus, it was
I
2.5 hours
expecting not
long.
to.
2.5 hours long for a horror movie is pushing it. It's pushing it a bit. I was gonna say that. But yeah, so I look forward to The Dead Zone, which is a first time watch for me, so I'm excited to see what I think of that. But we are building up to episode 100. We are still working through the Planet of the Apes franchise, and occasionally the Invisible Man series as well. And
Yeah, we should bring that back.
yeah, we've got one scheduled loosely, and it won't be that long before we have to start the Matrix movies, because the fourth one is out this year.
Woo! I'm excited.
And it's definitely coming out because they've committed to this HBO Max release system, even if there's no theaters open. So it's happening.
All right.
It's happening, folks. Which also means we'll definitely be starting Godzilla movies this year because Godzilla vs. King Kong's coming out as well.
Awesome.
Man, it's going to be franchise saved.
And King Kong franchise.
Oh, geez, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we do have something a little different planned for how we're going to cover those monster movies, actually.
Yeah.
But we'll reveal that when the time is right. But hey, so that has been our Starship Troopers episode of the Atomic Cinema Experiment. Feel free to tell me that I don't understand the genius of Starship Troopers in the comments below. Although, I get it. I just don't love it. It's, it's fine. I get what it's doing. RoboCop's better. Much better and even. So, yes.
I agree. By half a point.
So let us know what you think of the movie in the comments. Like and subscribe. Liking is super important. It's the easy and free way to support us. We mentioned patreon.com/MailFuzzTV earlier for financial support where you can get some bonuses for your troubles. And of course, if Tara would like to promote anything else we do for you to go check out.
If you're interested in epic science fiction long-form storytelling, you can check out our Babylon 5 reviews. We are still on season 1, but it's a first-time watch for us, so
yes,
please head on over and check that out and follow along with us. It's been fun.
Babylon 5, better than Starship Troopers. Send tweet. The look of death that I just got from...
It's not death.
I fear for death, so there's definitely some death in there. But yes, so go check out other things. But otherwise, that is us. You can also catch us on Twitter at @mail_fuzz for channel updates. But that does it. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Happy New Year, because this is the first one we're recording, I think, in the new year. So yeah, happy 2021, and we'll see you soon. So keep watching Sci-Fi and Computer at Celsa.
Come on, you apes. Do you want to live forever?